Our next question comes from JJ, who asks, when reading nonfiction books, do you suggest reading for quality or quantity? Well, both, depending on the book. That's the typical way I do it, depending on what the book is and what I'm trying to get out of it, will dictate how carefully I go through it. It will dictate whether I am marking it up with my annotation so I can come back later to extract insight. And if I am marking it, it will dictate to what level of detail I am making those marks. So, for example, earlier in this particular show, I talked about the books I had read this month. So, one of the books I read in there was a relatively academic tome called Moralizing Technology. This was a book on digital ethics where I really wanted to understand this somewhat complex philosophy. I read that slow and it was very carefully annotated. I'm marking off passages, I'm numbering things, I was adding notes to the margin. That same month, I also read a book called Why We Get Sick. On a whim, I'd heard the author interviewed. It was a book about insulin resistance and healthy eating. I didn't annotate it at all. I just said this would be interesting. And I read that pretty quickly. But I learned a lot and I got some tidbits out of it. And it was a good thing to read. But it really was something that I was moving quickly through. So I would say the book itself and the purpose that it's going to play in your life should dictate how slowly you read it, how carefully you take notes, how seriously you take that experience. And with that in mind, you should have a real mix, moving back and forth between really hard books and more breezy, pragmatic nonfiction books, throw in a novel here and there. I think that diversity of reading types is going to support a much larger throughput of actual reading.